Welcome to the Women Empowerment Awards podcast, where we firmly believe that we rise by lifting others. The Women Empowerment Podcast is a platform for women to share their personal stories and experiences, trials and triumphs, to have their voices heard, to promote, inspire, and motivate other women. We want to share the journey of women leaders and entrepreneurs from all industries and sectors who have made an outstanding impact in our society and empower others to do the same. The Women Empowerment Awards Gala is being held Wednesday, September 21st at the Shangri-La Hotel in Toronto. Although the gala is now sold out, you can still grab your tickets to the after-party networking event where you can meet over 250 highly influential and inspiring individuals. Grab your tickets today at eventbrite.com or go to our website, which is www.woea.ca, and let's celebrate together. Enjoy the podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Gideon, and it is my joy and pleasure to introduce our guest today, Marcia Brown, who is the founder and executive director of Trust 15. Marcia, thank you so much for making time today.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm very excited for this interview today. Thank you.
Well, I'm so excited. And as I was doing research and learning more about you, I thought if I get through this interview without, tearing up, because what you do is so amazing.
Thank you.
And I'm excited to, have everybody else learn about what you do. So let's dive in.
Okay.
So one of the first questions I like to ask is a little bit about your early life. So what was early life like for you, and how do you think it has helped shape who you are today?
Well, thank you for asking that question. Growing up as a young child living in Toronto, it was very difficult for me. I used to live in North Bay and things were not the way it should be. As a young girl, you wouldn't understand certain things that people would say to you that would hurt you. And it was very difficult for me because I would have to run home and go to my mom or my dad and say, what does this mean? Why are they saying this? And I used to see some tears in my mom's eyes. It used to hurt her, but they were trying to protect me mostly, not to get to have that anger in me. And I realize now I thank my mother for that, because I feel if she had told me exactly what they were really saying and what they were doing, it might have, I don't think we would be here today. That's what I think. I wouldn't be here today. And because of when I got older and I kind of realized what it meant, and starting this organization and hearing some of the kids in my program, the same thing, what they went to,
Yeah.
I was able in a calm way to explain to them, this is what's happened. This is what you have to do. As I told you before, if my parent, and I thank my mother to this day, if he did the right thing by protecting me, because if he didn't, trust me, I think I would have been very angry. And this is why when you see most of my kids in the program that way, I know how to handle it. I know how to do. So I'm the mother figure to all. So I'm very grateful for that.
So you really learned, I guess, through your modeling behavior of your mother, how to navigate some of these hard, things when the children come to you.
Yes, exactly. And it's so important that you have wonderful role models in your life. They are the ones that are going to mold you to be the person you are today. And that's what my mother did for me. And I'm so grateful. Thank you.
So any major challenges? I mean, it already sounds like from what you're saying, you had some challenges and hurdles to
Yes.
overcome as a young woman. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about maybe what some of those were?
Oh, words, certain words that were presented to me, the way I looked, my appearance, it was very hard for me. Now I see myself as a beautiful woman, but I did not. I really did not. My family, we're all Black, but there's different shades of Black, right?
Okay.
My sister and my brother are beautiful red skin, you know what I'm trying to say? And I would look at myself and say, what's wrong with me? Why am I not like them? Why don't I have the long hair? I don't blame my parents, because my mother did as much as she could for me. But when you see how people treat my sister and my brother in a different way, how they treated me, it kind of hurt. It made me feel that I was the ugly duckling of the family. That's how I felt. But after my father died, he passed away. My mom decided to move away from North Bay and bring us back to Toronto. And that's when I had maybe more people who appreciate who I was and the color of my skin and how I acted. It was much different, right? It was totally different. And as my mom always said, maybe it was the best decision ever to bring you back, because you needed it more than your brother and sister did, right? But now as an adult, I don't know what I was thinking. I love myself. I love who I am, right? I love my hair. I love my skin. I love everything that represents me. And this is why doing Trust 15, I'm seeing those same things happening to the kids now. It's almost when I told my husband, said, okay, does it bring back to your memory? I go, yeah. But imagine you are here to help them, right? You
Yeah.
didn't have a mother that you had like these kids don't have,
Well,
right? You are here to make a purpose. And this is why when I see kids saying, oh, I'm not beautiful or whatever, I will hold up a mirror and I said, look at yourself in the mirror, right? Look at yourself. And then I would tell them my story. I said, you know what? I thought I was the ugly duckling. I go, not you, Mrs. Brown. You're so beautiful. You know how they would go, I love it, but when I was your age, I was like that. But it took people in my life to bring me to a different environment, and my mother telling me how beautiful I was and, other people. I started to love myself. And this is why I'm here to make you do it. And those kids would smile when I say those things to them. And it made me feel good that I know when they walk home, they're going to say, I'm beautiful, I'm precious.
yeah.
Those are the words that we give them. So
Yeah.
they can always remember. I wish when I was younger, I had my mother, but I wish I had other people who would have said that to me. I think my life would have been a little different
Yeah.
than what it is today, but I'm more happier who I am right now.
Well, I find it really interesting how the words people say, positive or negative, especially when we're young, can really stick with us and replay in our mind over and over. And we start believing them, whether they're good or whether they're bad.
Absolutely, right? So we have to be very careful what we say to our children. I got a beautiful daughter and son. From the day they came into my arms, right? I said, "You're beautiful, you're special." I did that, right?
Yeah.
And there was a reason why I did it. Even when people couldn't understand why I'm saying it, I knew why I had to say it. Now my children walk around, they're so proud of who they are and love each other a lot. So that means a lot to me.
Good job, Mama. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So let's move on to your organization, Trust 15. I'm so interested to hear how that came to be. Can you just fill us in a little bit about your amazing organization?
Thank you. I'm excited to share this with you. So I used to work for the Toronto District School Board, and I was entitled to work in a young girls program. And it was great, but the kids, they were okay. They were doing great and everything like that. But I wanted to find other ways to reach out to them. But it was very difficult because when they came in, they had their little hoodies on or they would sit down and not saying so much. But me as a teaching assistant, I was very nice. How are you doing? And then all of a sudden now certain things were happening in my community more than ever. Young men are being shot, girls getting pregnant, all those things that is happening in an at-risk area.
Yeah.
And I decided, due to my faith, I decided I have to do more. I have to do more. So I photocopied 250 flyers. And each night after work, I would walk around the community and tell people, I want to change your life. I want to bring you to a program. And I was only thinking about the girls back then.
Okay.
And I did that for a whole month. Every time after work, I come home, I feed my kids, my husband, and I'm out the door, right? And I'm going around the community and I was sharing that with them. A lot of kids were like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, we'll see about it. It was when I went out maybe 3 weeks later, two girls who went to the school said, Mrs. Brown, what are you doing here? And I go, I live here. No, you don't. I go, yes, I do. Where do you think I live? I thought all the teachers live not they don't live in this area because it's not a great area. And I
Uh-huh.
go, "Excuse me, I'll show you where I live, right over there." They go, "What?" You could see a change in them that they know, "Oh, Mrs. Brown, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing a program from young girls." "Okay, I wanna come." That was 2 girls. The next day when I went back to work, this is when the word went around with the kids in the school, right?
Yeah.
"You know where Mrs. Brown lives?" That was the thing. "Do you know where Mrs. Brown" she lives in our community, right?
Yeah. That's very important to them.
Very important, but I did not know that it had to be those 2 girls that I met on that walk, right? To let me realize that you have to live in this community. Remember, a lot of people don't trust each other here. So the idea that they trusted me, next thing you know, "Mrs. Brown, I'm hearing that there's a program for us." I go, "Okay, now I don't have them here, but you know what? Meet me after school and I will have it and I'll give it to you." The word got around. I did 275 flyers, right? So what happened is I had to ask a friend to help me. And I said, "You know what? I'm doing this program. Can you help me?" She said, "Sure." We couldn't get it in the schools because back then we didn't have free service for classrooms. So I went to my local church and I asked them if I could use it. They said yes. We made sandwiches, box drinks, fruit, you name it. We went to Fortino's, bought everything that we could to have it, and we waited. 4 o'clock came, nobody, right? And I'm getting a little nervous.
Yeah.
4:20 came, I go, "Angela, what do you think?" She said, don't show up," right? 4:35, that's why till this day I remember, girls started walking in,
Mm.
right? By the time around close to 5 o'clock, 15 girls walked into my
Wow.
right? And we had the best session. It was 3 hours. We didn't leave till after 8. And I'm a kind of person, give me a number, call the parents. So they're going to be a little late, you know.
Yeah.
15 girls came and we had the best session you can ever imagine. And then afterwards, I continued to go back in the community, but those girls started telling people, you know what Mrs. Brown doing? You know what Mrs. Brown is doing? And I got a lot of girls. I got close to 40 girls before the end of the year of that year into the program. So what happened is I was at work and, you know, because I work for the school board, Mrs. Brown, can you please come down to the office? And I go, yes. And the principal said, what is this Ladies on the Rise program? I said, oh, it's a program that I'm doing for young girls in the community. They said to me, oh, I'd like to come by. I said, okay, come by. She came by. She said, I'll only spend 20 minutes. 3 hours she spent there, right? And next day, she calls me down to the office again and go, what do you need so I can bring your program into the school? I need more space, but I can't afford it. She said, we have money in the school budget. We'll give you a spot. So she gave me this stage. And when I walked in there, it was like this aha moment for me. I said, this is the place it's going to be. I've been there for 11 years,
Oh,
right? In that same spot. And the reason why I call it Trust 15, you remember the word I keep saying? Trust. You can trust me. You can trust me. And the 15 girls are the 15 girls that walked into my life. So I will never forget where it all started, right? We're enough 200 kids right now. And when people ask me the story, it brings me right back. I'm a very humble woman, but I love what I do. But I always want to remember why I am doing this program and where it all started. That's how Trust 15 started.
wow. Wow. Remember what I said about tearing up? Yeah.
Uh,
Question number 3.
okay. Yes,
Woo!
absolutely.
Oh, that's such a beautiful beginning.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful beginning. And the fact that you've grown to where you are now, the fact that you've been at the same location, I love that. I think that really, puts some roots
It did.
into the program and into, again, within your community. And it's so important.
Mhm. Very important.
I know that, you have had your challenges throughout your life, and starting an organization like this is not easy. You've put a lot of,
Yeah.
time and effort and sweat and all that sort of stuff into it.
Mhm.
So, what has been one of the hardest parts? So, maybe not necessarily the beginning, or maybe it's the beginning, but you've been through this for now quite a few years. So, when you kind of do some self reflection on it, what do you think has been one of the most challenging parts of it? And how have you overcome that?
Okay. The hardest part is making people know who I am, right? And understand why I'm doing it. And also dealing with people who want to break the organization or, don't want it in the community. You know what I'm trying to say? And I'm not saying it in a bad way. What I'm saying is that, there's a lot of great programs here, but there's always someone out there is looking to bring someone down. And I got caught into that where someone tried to take this organization away from me or try to say that I'm not able to run this organization because I'm not qualified. Words are very powerful. And I'll be honest with you, you might see me smiling in the day because remember, I'm around kids, right? But
Yeah.
when I go home, I'm in tears, because I can't believe that people would try to do things like that. You have to be around people who have the same light as you. And I believe that those people who were around me did not see the light, right? They were still in their darkness. So it didn't match. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
then eventually I got to have other people to see the light and they got to see my heart. They got to see the glory of who I am and why I'm doing it. But remember, there's the mixture, right? You have the people who don't understand, the people who do. So that was a challenge for me to find the right people
Hmm.
who really understood what I was doing and cared about me and allow them to come into their circle and my circle too. So it was a challenge, but also at the same time, it had to happen to make me stronger.
And I think having those people around you,
Yeah.
it really can make or break what you're doing.
Exactly, it can. And I have been broken many times, but I would never share that feeling with my community
Yeah.
because remember, they're dealing with their own issues. And it wouldn't be fair as a leader to do that to them. It would not be fair. Right. So I had my family, I had my loving husband, I had my mother. Right. I think they saw more tears at me in the beginning when I'm running this organization than they ever seen before. But at the end of the day, as my mom said, you're not going to give up. You know why you're doing this. My husband said, you'll be fine. You're a strong woman. You're going to make it. And it's
Yeah.
because of them why I'm able to wake up each morning and go out there, face those same people who are targeting me, still come back, still cry, but had someone to uplift me. And I went through that for many years. I did, right? Until I finally got a lot of people with the light, the same light that I have. And it made it a little more easier that I was more able to handle the people who could not handle
Right.
me. Yeah,
exactly.
because
Just
I on my side. Yeah.
and
The people
strengthening that support system within your work and within it sounds like you have a very strong support system at home, which is so important.
so important because people don't know what there is behind closed doors, but I have a strong family who loves me
Yeah.
and believed in me when I wanted to do this, right? So right now I'm more happier than I've ever been in years, okay? Because finally I have more people, as I said, saw the light, right? And now they want to be part of me and they want to help me. They want to help the youth. So the other ones who did not see it, they don't seem to bother me anymore. I'm able to handle them. And
Good.
I'm not going home crying anymore as I used to in the past.
Yeah. Wow. Woo. Okay. Again, it sounds like from the research I've done about you and learning more about you, it sounds like mentorship is a really important part of your organization. And I feel like what you believe in too. So, why do you think mentorship is so important to the children of your organization? And how have you seen it make a difference?
Well, I'll tell you why mentorship is very important. It's very important because these young kids need someone to lead and they didn't have that, right?
Right.
Saying certain words to them to lead them into right path. That is the way of mentorship, showing them how important they are and in their lives, what they have to do, going by my story, what I went through, right? To make sure they understand I did not have, no, that's not wrong. I did have a mentor. I had my mother, right?
Yeah.
But I wish I had other people. So what I'm doing for these young kids is bringing other mentors into my organization because I'm only one person, right, who has a story. Why don't I bring in all these different people and let them, you hear their story and let them understand you because they might say, I don't know these kids. I said, well, this is the opportunity for you to share your story so you know what to say and the right words. And that's where mentorship comes, right? It comes from all of us. And we have to be prepared to handle what these kids are going to say to you, right? Because sometimes I remember I brought quite a few people in and they said, Marcia, I was just going to come and talk about mentorship, put it on a thing there. But after I heard their story, I start telling them my story. And now I understand why these kids are struggling, why it's so important that you are in the community to change them. And now they walked out feeling they can do more. And I'm so grateful for that because a lot more people are coming in. What can I do, Marcia, to help you? Because now for all these years, I was not able to say what was in my heart, but those kids made me do that. And now I feel free that I want to help this organization and help that these kids don't go through what I went through. So we all have stories, right? And
And
that's the mentorship, right?
it sounds like for the mentors who have come in that they thought they were gonna do one thing, but then they came out and it was almost like a growth experience for them.
Exactly, exactly. And people
Yeah.
say, how did you change me, Marcy? Because this is something that I've kept and no one knew about it. I said, look in their eyes, look into those kids' eyes. You'll cry. I've
Yeah.
cried, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I think about my past and what I went through. And you hear a little about what they're going through. And then you say, you know what? Let me tell them what I went through. And they'll look at you thinking, but Mrs. Brown, you're always happy. And all this stuff. They're like, well, Mrs. Brown does have days, right? When she's not herself, right? There's days that she has to go to events and someone has hurt her. And I have to put that at the door and say, come on, kids, we're going to go out and leave my problems there. Right. So I understand what you're going through. So let me help you and let me bring in the people that I know. And I keep telling the kids the light. And kids, Mrs. Brown, what's the light? I said, it's bright light that is good. It is good. And you can see it in people. Now I'm kind of getting good at it that I can look at someone and say, okay, that person has the light and this person not, but I will never treat the one who has been disrespectful to me. I won't treat them in a bad way because you don't know what they're going through,
Yeah.
right, in their life, right? They might hurt you, but I'm learning how to keep my emotions saying, I understand. Maybe this is not for us, right?
Yeah.
And they might say things, but you have to be strong to walk away and never look back at them again. And that's what I've been able to do. And that took many years. It didn't happen overnight. It
Yeah.
took many, many years, many years.
Yeah, these things, it's a bit of a life journey, it seems, as we learn these things and go along. But I know one of the really hard parts that we've all been through recently is COVID-19. And so I'm interested to know how did Trust 15 do through COVID-19 and how did Marcia do through that time?
I'm gonna tell I will never forget when the principal of one of the schools saying, "You know what, Marcy, it looked like this March break that we're going into, it might be longer." And I go, "Oh," because we didn't understand COVID, right? I
Yeah.
thought, "Okay, well, okay, kids get 2 weeks off, I can do certain things." And all of a sudden, it went to 2 weeks, to 3 weeks, to 4 and I'm starting to worry because I'm thinking, "How am I going to run this program? How I can't even go outside and meet the kids because we truly didn't understand COVID in 2020. We thought that we had to be locked up in our house because we couldn't go out there. And one day I get a email from a friend of mine saying, Marcy, I want to let you come into this group. And, we're trying to do different things. It's called Zoom. And I go, my husband wasn't there because maybe he would have told me then. I go, what is Zoom? Right?
Yeah.
What is Zoom? Right? And he called me and said, you never heard of it? I go, I've never heard of it. He said, okay, I'm going to send you the link. And I said, come on the line with me so I know I do it right. And I got on there. All I can tell you, Courtney, I don't remember what anybody said in that conversation. All I kept looking, going, wait a minute. I wonder if I can get my kids on here. I go look down at the bottom, learning this. There's like 50 people on there. I said, I have more than 50 kids. I wonder if I can do this. I don't remember anything in that conversation to this day. All I can say is, so when I got off, my husband came home and go, Leroy, I just was on the Zoom for the first time. Yeah, it's this new thing that everyone's using. And I said, I wonder if I could do it with the kids. Now, during that time, the TDSB, all the schools were giving laptops at the last minute. Okay. So I thought, okay, I have my laptop and stuff, but realizing that some of them did not have internet service in their homes. Think about this right now. I live in a community where you don't see a lot indoors, right? So in my mind, I'm assuming, oh, they have internet like Mrs. Brown, all this stuff there. I'm finding out the TDSB were giving links to that. And so it was very, very difficult to get the kids online. I only got like 6 or 8 of them, and I have more kids than that, right? So one day, TD Bank said that, hey, Marcy, how's everything going? I go, great, and everything like that. And he said, would you be able to come down and talk about your program and what you need? So I came down. He said, what do you need? I go, well, I need T-shirts. I need anything else? I go, no, what's going on? I can't believe these kids. None of them have proper computers and I don't know what to do. And so, my goodness, well, let's see what we can do. I go, I don't think that you can because brand new computers they need because they don't have the microphone. And I was getting a little frustrated. Okay, a month later, right? This is what happened. Someone called me and said, hey, Marcy, we want to do an interview on you about the work you're doing. I go, okay, right? So I said, we want to come to your house. Can we come around 7? Why would they want to come 7 o'clock in the morning? I go, okay, come 7. When I open up my door the next morning, I see 4 vans. I see crews in my front lawn. And they say, oh, hi, Marcy, it's us. We're here to do. And I go, what's going on? Oh, it's TD Bank. They just want to do it. I thought it was going to be one person.
Yeah.
They said, can we see your backyard? Show them, oh, this is perfect. We'll do it in your backyard. I sat there. My husband said, I go, they want to interview me. I said, but I just thought it was just someone coming with a camera.
Yeah.
Well, later on, right after everything was done at my house, they said, let's go over to the school that you first brought the program and bring a couple of kids so that we can interview them, their testimony. And we did that. Well, next thing you know, close to the end, they said, we got one more thing we have to do to you, Marcy. I go, what's that? We're going to take off your glasses. So they took off my glasses. They were putting makeup on me. Like, I'm not used to people fixing me up, because I did that myself, right?
Yeah.
And then they said, I want you to look at the school and pretend, just realize what happened when you first started. I go, that would be easy. While I'm walking down, remember, I can't really see without my glasses. And then all of a sudden now I'm coming close. And he said, walk to that green box. And I walked to the green box. And then all of a sudden I see my bank manager there and I see the vice president there. And I go, hey, hi, guys. Okay, Marcy, we've got to do this again. Had to go back, do it again. Then I come to the box and they said, congratulations, Marcy. I'm part of TD and the work that you're doing in community. We have a special prize for you. That green box opened up and 50 brand new laptops.
Wow.
There. Girl, I started to cry. No, literally, I started to cry because no one understands what I go through. I keep a lot in my heart. Like I might say, I need help, but they don't understand. You know things about your community in one way, and then you find there's something else that you didn't know, and you're trying to find ways to help them. And the only way, and this is when TD Bank said, listen, the work that you are doing, right, we want to help you out. And this is what we want to give you. Girl, honestly, there's a video. I'm going to even send it to you. I was crying in it. Okay. And even the guy said that was genuine. Like everything you've done, this is not like, a fake or anything. And then afterwards, after that, they came and said, here, Marcia, we're giving you $10,000. Girl, I'm like, what? Because we want your program to continue because you have brought value into this community. The kids were clapping. I'm there still wiping my eyes because all I'm thinking, it's not the money. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy we got the money.
Yeah.
It's what I wanted. I needed laptops. All right. And all I said was, okay, just need if I can only get that. And they heard that. And you should have seen me. I was like, all those 8 kids who were there said, here's a laptop, here's a laptop. I was so happy. Once I was able to go around to the community about the kids who didn't have it, they were so, even the parents were happy. I was able to run my program successfully during COVID for 2 years. Mm,
Wow. That's
2 years,
amazing.
right? Yeah, I'm telling you, imagine the kids getting a brand new laptop. They're excited. And I remember one kid said, Mrs. Brown, I can see you. you
Aw.
know? So what was wonderful. So we were able to do the STEM program. We were able to do the literacy program. We get to do the mentorship program. And it was like, I'm going to put it this way, Courtney. It was like, yes, we had COVID, but my program was able to continue.
Yeah.
Other programs out there did not make it during the COVID, right? Trust 15 was able to get through it. I'm telling you, to this day, I'm just still happy. You know what I'm trying to say? I still have 15 laptops in my office. Now you have to understand, not every kid got one because they had their own computer and everything.
Yeah.
But now we just started before the end of the year. I just gave 2 more away. At
Yeah.
first, like shocked, and I said, "You're gonna have to understand. If I have something, I don't keep it to myself. I share it with many, right?" So
Absolutely.
it honestly,
Wow.
that's why everybody's so happy because how did Marcy keep Trust 15 going,
Yeah.
right? I wasn't bragging about it or telling anybody. I was just making it happen,
Yeah.
right? And it was
That's
one,
so important. And
yeah,
through COVID, because so many people struggled through COVID, and the fact that you could reach these children during that time, that's just so unbelievable. And thank goodness, because, it could have been a really dark time for some of them if you hadn't been able to.
and we did struggle with a lot. And sometimes I wish I could have gone over there and hugged them because I knew what they were going through, but I was able to listen to them online and try to help them. But it's not really the same.
Mhm.
You to be, you got to be, even a touch on their hand makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to do that, but I tried my best,
Yeah.
and then I would have parents come on and saying, Marcia, I don't know where you came from, but what you are doing for these kids, my child is more happy to be. That's all she talks about. Marcia Brown is saying, we're gonna go over here, and Mrs. Brown is taking up here. And, we had some, and I even got guests that I met in the US that I always said, I wish you can come and talk to the kids. And guess what I was doing? I'm looking for their cards. I said, you remember this thing where we were talking? Can you come online? So I got quite a few people from the US to come talk to the kids online that it would have never happened
Yeah.
if we didn't have COVID. I wish we never did, but there's sometimes it came a good out of it also.
That's right.
Good, right? But then
Well,
when 2021 came, close to almost when the schools were starting open, I was kind of glad that we were off because we were getting tired of it. The kids were
yeah.
tired of it. I was tired of it. And then once the schools opened, well, I'm telling you, we were happy to be back there.
Absolutely. I think it's yeah, and to continue on with some of the amazing work that you have done, I would love to hear, I know that you've had a lot of different alumni come out of your program.
Mm,
Is there any one or two specific stories from one of your alumni that really stands out to you?
yes. There was a young man who was in my program. He was a joker, right? Liked to joke around but you never know. I knew there was something more than that because the way how he used to joke a lot and then always almost wearing the same clothes all the time and not being who he's supposed to be. And I thought, okay, something not right something's going on. So what happened is I'm glad he started to trust me. We're able to talk in the school a lot. Once in a while, I'll give him some food, things like that to make him feel that, you belong. And I had to help him. And guess what? After all that help, I found out that his parents weren't here, right? He's living with his older sister. But the mother figure came into me right there. And I start, okay, you know what? I will be preparing food for you. Give it to, I would do that because I can't go home where my husband and I have 2 beautiful kids and they get the best of, not best of everything, but you know what I'm trying to say. They
Yeah.
have the food, they got everything that they should have. And I'm looking at this young guy and he's not. And I used to do that, right? Give him food, talk to him. Let me tell you, that boy started to be the leader of my program because eventually I make them leaders, right? When I see how they did. And guess what happened, my friend? During the time being part of Trust 15, the great people I brought in, lawyers, doctors, you can name it. That boy has changed. And now he's a trial lawyer.
Wow.
I don't want to cry because if this program wasn't here, I don't think he would be where he is today. I believe in my heart because I got him off the street. You understand what I'm saying? I got him away from people who would influence him the wrong way,
Yes.
right? And the idea that when he called me, go, Mrs. Brown, pray for me. I'm going to be writing my bars. You're going to do well. Don't worry about it. Everything is. Then he calls me, go, Mrs. Brown, I passed my bar exam. I didn't cry with him on the phone, but I came, I was on, and my husband said, okay, why are you crying? And I told him that, he made it and he's going to be, now he works for a law firm, right? And they're so excited about the work that he's doing, right? He's one of my babies, right? That I see has made it. And he said, I'll do anything from you, Mrs. Brown. When, I'll do anything. If you want me to talk, he was also on the video for TD, right? When I
Okay.
to talk about, what Trust 15 has done. I'm very proud of him. And then I have a young lady who was part of my program who started off in grade 6, right? And he loved everything that I do. He said, Mrs. Brown, I want to learn. I want to be like you. You know how important that is when a young child said, I want to be like you. And I said, sure. And he proven herself to be one of the leaders for Ladies on the Rise, right? He called me and said, Mrs. Brown, I'm graduating from London because I knew he went to Weston in London. And he said, I want you to come to my graduation. My parents couldn't make it. And no, they wanted to be there, but they couldn't. But could you come? I tell you, I packed my car, called my friend who started the program with me and said, we're going to London, Ontario.
Yeah.
Right. And I was so proud when they called her name, right? Like, I know they said we weren't supposed to say anything during the graduation, but we had to because we wanted to show how much we cared about. And the look on her face was wonderful. And she graduated as a social worker. And she said, because of you, Mrs. Brown, and me being in this program, this is why I want to be here to help people like you do. Right. There's so many stories of my alumni I could go on and on about, but it shows me that Trust 15 had to be here. Right. I had to make the sacrifice to go out there and make sure because I see things in the community that a lot of people don't see. Right. And I want to make sure that we break the shackles. Like, I don't want it to continue. Right. I want to see greatness in all kids, no matter what color they are. I want to see greatness in all kids. And that's my life. And this is what I do. And I'm very happy when I do it. And now I have other people who are working with me. Finally, I've been practically doing a lot on my own for many years. And a lot of people didn't know that. They just saw the happy face on me, but they don't know what I'm doing behind the scenes. Many hours, late nights, 12, 1, 2, writing stuff, doing stuff, preparing the program, going out, picking up food. It was not easy, but I was determined to do it. I never thought and said, oh gosh, I can't do it. But now that I have all these people working on me, someone will say to me, okay, tell me how you did this, right?
Yes.
I said, I don't know. I think it's only God that helped me through this, right? Could I do it again right now? I don't think so. But at that time, it was meant to be. And that's why I'm able to practice it. And then I'm sharing a lot that I do. It was hard to delegate at first, right?
Yep.
But I'm getting more easier because I got the right people. Trust, as I tell you, is very important for me. And I trust these people. And now I'm letting go. Took a while, but there's still some stuff they're trying to pull out of me, right? But they'll get it. And eventually I can do other things that I love to do, part of Trust 15. Don't get me wrong. I might be the executive director, but I have my own office, but doesn't mean I'm there all the time.
Yeah.
I need to be in the community. I need to be with those kids, right? Like one girl said, but Miss, you're a big woman now, right? What are you going executive director? He said, but what are you doing here? I said, let me tell you something, not because I'm an executive director now. I'm not going to come down and say, okay, who needs help in the kitchen? What do you want me to do? Oh, there's a kid say, okay, I'll deal with it. That's part of me,
Yeah.
right? It will never leave me and I will always do it. And
Yes.
this is what brings me joy. So when I go home at night and I can put my head on the pillow, I can say, I'm not crying. I'm happy.
Yes.
I'm happy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Can you believe we only have 4 minutes left?
You're kidding me.
So I want to ask you
Yeah.
a
Okay. Yes.
question.
Sure.
And that is knowing what you know. Again, self-reflection. I really love self-reflection.
Yeah.
What is the piece of advice you would give a young Marcia?
First, I would say, can I tell what I would say to Marcia? I go, Marcia, I'm going to tell you something. And you might say, no, that's not going to happen to me. Right. I'm going to tell you it is, but I'm going to prepare you for your path. Right. You are going to have people who are not going to be for you. You're going to have people who are going to put you down. But at the same time, you're going to meet people who adore you and what you have to do. I'm advising you, right? Stay strong, right?
Yes.
Go to the people who care about you, right? I know when I was your age, I didn't have that a lot, right? So I struggled. But now I'm telling you to prepare you because guess what? There's more that you need to do that you don't know about that is going to change the world of these young people. So continue to look forward, right? Don't laugh, Marcia. I'm telling you, don't laugh because you might think it's a joke thinking that you haven't accomplished anything in your life, but you did. You really did, Marcia, right? If you only know what you were going to get, you're going to look back and say, why did I laugh? Trust me when I tell you this, be wise, be careful at the same time, but know that you're here for a purpose. Never forget, Marcia, who you are. You're Marcia Brown. There's something about that name, Marcia Brown. That's what I would say.
Beautiful words, such beautiful words. And I see, you speak about the light, Marcia, and I mean, I see such a light within you. You glow, you absolutely radiate. And congratulations on your Women Empowerment nomination.
Thank you.
So well deserved. So, so well deserved. Good luck to you in everything that you're doing and with your community. You're an angel. You truly are an angel within your community. And thank you again for being on this podcast with me.
And thank you for allowing me to tell my story to many. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Women Empowerment Awards podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Gideon. Don't forget to grab your tickets to the after party networking event held at the Shangri-La Hotel in Toronto, September 21st. We rise by lifting others. Be well, everyone.